The character has been trying hard to reassure Marlon Dingle that he's the only one she wants, but it's starting to feel like Rhona might be saying it more to convince herself. Not long ago, Graham asked Rhona to meet him so they could talk about where they stand. He made it clear that if she didn't show up, he would take it as a sign to stay away for good. Rhona fully planned to meet him, but her attention was pulled elsewhere when Ivy got hurt at nursery. By the time she reached the bridge, Graham had already left. Instead, he ended up seducing Kim Tate and spent the night with her. Although Rhona later found out and told him exactly what she thought, the spark between them clearly hasn't faded. In tonight's episode, Rhona and her loved ones were in turmoil after Dylan Penders went missing. The teenager had fled the village after sending a letter to the police, claiming he was responsible for Ray Walters' death. Dylan is convinced that Beowulf and Paddy Kirk are suffering because of him, and believed that confessing would set them free. Rhona, Marlon Dingle, April Windsor, and Aaron Dingle set out with one goal: to track Dylan down and intercept the letter before it reached the authorities. Realizing they needed a stroke of luck to fix everything in time, Rhona knew exactly who could help. During a private meeting by the river, she turned to Graham and asked him to find Dylan and retrieve the letter. Even with only hours to act, he saw how desperate she was and agreed. Graham managed to locate Dylan and later handed the letter over to Rhona outside the pub. She was deeply thankful, and it was obvious neither of them could hide their lingering feelings. Back inside, as Rhona tried to convince herself that Graham wasn't constantly on her mind, Joe Tate noticed the tension between them. He hinted to Graham that his reasons for staying in the village might not be entirely business-related. Graham brushed off the comment, though his reaction came just as he saw Rhona share a kiss with Marlon. The question now is, how long can they keep denying what's really there? Emmerdale reveals who rescues Dylan, and it could change everything for Rhona. In the latest episode of Emmerdale, Graham Foster succeeded in tracking down Dylan Penders after the teenager attempted to take responsibility for Ray Walters' death. While Dylan was prevented from making things worse for himself, Graham's involvement may have created a new complication for Rhona Goskirk. In the previous episode, Dylan made the difficult choice to admit to the killing in order to shield Paddy Dingle and Beowulf. He sent a letter to the police confessing, then disappeared from the village. During tonight's installment, those closest to Dylan scrambled to find him after he vanished. They worried he would break his bail conditions by missing his police appointment, which could lead to a warrant being issued. April Windsor warned the others that Dylan was good at staying hidden and likely wouldn't be found if he didn't want to be, suggesting he could already be far away. With time running out, Rhona quietly turned to Graham for help, admitting he was her last chance. Although Graham initially agreed with April's view, he changed his mind once Rhona told him about the confession letter and agreed to search for Dylan. Later on, Rhona was taken aback when Graham returned quickly with Dylan, describing it as an express delivery. Although she was relieved, Dylan reacted angrily, pointing out that his confession would soon land him in serious trouble. Graham reassured him that the letter would be back in his possession before the day was over, promising to sort it out. At the same time, Aaron Dingle was unhappy that Rhona had contacted Graham, but she urged him to keep quiet about it, especially from Marlon. As the family welcomed Dylan back, Rhona waited nervously for updates about the letter. Just as she began to lose hope, Graham showed up with it, keeping his promise. He revealed that he had paid someone at the postal sorting office to retrieve the confession, and told Rhona she had nothing to worry about regarding consequences. They shared a meaningful moment before Rhona returned to the others, pretending she had recovered the letter herself. However, Joe Tate witnessed the interaction and later questioned Graham about whether his feelings for Rhona were still there. Is Graham trying to win Rhona back? And what will happen when Marlon eventually finds out the truth? Kim's unexpected new partner against Graham in Emmerdale is set to cause chaos. Kim remains one of Emmerdale's most formidable figures and seeing her in a rare moment of vulnerability makes it hard not to root for her. If Joe Tate thinks he can take her place, he's clearly mistaken. While Joe isn't the one responsible for her current turmoil, Graham Foster certainly is, leaving viewers unsure what to make of him. One moment, he appears kind-hearted, supporting Kane Dingle with his farming struggles, and the next, he's interfering in Rhona Goskirk's marriage while also drawing Kim into his orbit. His sudden return to the village left Kim shaken, especially since she believed he had died years ago. Since reappearing, he has been working behind the scenes to undermine her in Joe's eyes, pushing him to distance himself from her. Kim has been battling her lingering emotions, putting on a cold exterior while privately admitting to Lydia Dingle that she still feels something for him. After giving Rhona an ultimatum that never came to fruition due to unexpected circumstances, Graham turned his attention to Kim and spent the night with her. The following day, however, he dismissed her, leaving Kim feeling unsettled and humiliated. She later confided that she wouldn't allow him to get close again, despite the fact he is still under her roof. Determined not to be caught off guard again, Kim begins taking steps to protect herself by forming an unlikely alliance. She recruits Ross Barton, giving him a key role that essentially makes him her personal enforcer. Gradually, she intends to strengthen her position against Graham. Graham doesn't take this development well, reacting exactly as Kim anticipated. Aware of Ross and Dawn's past, he quickly tries to intimidate Ross and push him away. Ross, however, refuses to be rattled and finds Graham's warning amusing, even boasting about his new position as Kim's added protection. It raises the question, has Graham finally come up against someone who won't back down? Kane lashes out at Sam in Emmerdale, as one error throws everything off course. The well-known villager was diagnosed with prostate cancer earlier this year and began spiraling as he struggled to come to terms with the devastating news. For Kane, this has meant reckless behavior, including stealing cars with Sarah Sugden and snapping at almost anyone who crosses his path. For a time, only Sarah and Liam Kavanagh were aware of his condition, and both urged him to be honest with Moira Dingle, but he remained determined to keep it from her. That all shifted when Kane realized his actions were starting to affect Sarah's relationship with Jacob Gallagher. After speaking with Liam, he finally chose to open up to Moira and tell her the truth. The moment he revealed both his illness and the issues surrounding Butler's farm was deeply emotional. Since then, he has been staying at Wishingwell with the boys, yet he still struggles with the way his family encourages him to share his feelings. It's not that Kane doesn't appreciate their concern, it's that opening up forces him to show vulnerability, something he has always found difficult. His situation worsens in the coming week when he attends a support group for men facing the same diagnosis. However, he leaves early after hearing someone discuss relationship struggles following cancer, which only heightens his own fears. When Kane returns home, he discovers that Sam Dingle has forgotten about an important meeting concerning farm equipment. Already under pressure, Kane loses his temper and storms off in anger. Charity Dingle later follows him back and finds him drinking. She urges him to take care of himself, but he reacts badly, hurling a whiskey bottle across the room and smashing Zach's tankard. There is a small breakthrough, though, as Kane admits to Charity that he has been trying to hold Moira's life together during her time in prison, but feels like he is failing. Looking for an escape, Kane begins reminiscing about his past with Charity and makes an inappropriate move towards her. Thankfully, Charity quickly recognizes what's really going on and understands that Kane is not thinking clearly. His behavior shows just how much he is struggling to cope with everything happening in his life. The actor who portrays Kane has described him as being on the edge, explaining that his actions highlight how desperate he has become. He pointed out that involving his granddaughter in risky behavior shows how far Kane has fallen under the pressure. He added that the illness has pushed Kane to his limits as he tries to deal with the farm's future, bring Moira home from prison, reunite his family, and handle his diagnosis all at once. With so much weighing on him, Kane is acting out in ways that are out of character, showing just how close he is to breaking point. Emmerdale airs on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available to stream on ITVX.